Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Hi, I'm Joyce. Nice to meet you. Romeo gave them a nod. Arabella casually introduced him. This is my fiancé Romeo. The word fiancé hit like a bombshell between Maya and Joyce. You're engaged. Joyce gaped, incredulous. She had assumed this guy was Arabella's boyfriend, only to find out he was actually her fiancé. How could she be engaged so young? The name Romeo sounds familiar, like I've heard it somewhere. Maya suddenly realized and started to stutter. Oh my God, is this the Romeo? The globally known business tycoon Romeo, who's consistently topping the Forbes rich list. There were only a few photos of him online, always expressionless and dressed formally, giving off a serious vibe. Today, he's wearing a mask and everyday clothes, so they didn't recognize him. Who would have thought he's already engaged, and his fiancée was their dorm mate? The world's richest man and the top scorer, it's mind-blowing. Don't be shocked, and you'll get used to it. Kelly patted their shoulders. Let's head back to the dorm and let them talk. Maya and Joyce were stunned, being led away by Kelly without realizing it. Put on your mask. Arabella was worried his face would cause a scene. Romeo put on his mask, cupping her face with his hands. You're so heartless. You didn't even bother to look for me when you were away. Arabella was puzzled. Don't we talk on the phone every day? You never initiated contact. Romeo looked at her, hurt. You don't want to see me. Seems like your college life is so busy you've forgotten about me. And there he went again, acting all childish. He was cool and aloof in front of her friends just now, and now he's like a little boy. Arabella found it amusing. Didn't I say I'd see you after my extracurricular activities? Why wait until then? Romeo looked at her, puzzled. You have time to eat with your friends, but no time to think about me, whether I'm hungry or lonely. Don't you have Carl to keep you company? Carl wished he could disappear right now. He's a guy. How can he compare to you? Romeo said. Carl was speechless, thinking, Mr. Macmillan, that's unfair. I might not be Arabella, but I do much work too. I'm irreplaceable. Arabella looked at him helplessly. So what's your solution? Stay with me today. Tomorrow's a day off, right? Stay with me then too. Romeo didn't give her a chance to reject. He continued, can't you give me some perks? Arabella knew what he was implying. He had been hinting at it since she started college. He wanted her to stay over at his place, didn't he? You can't cross the line. I know, don't worry. Romeo gently stroked her face, the face he had been longing for. Now he finally had a chance to touch it. He wanted to do so a little longer. Remove your hand. I haven't seen you for a long time. He was reluctant to let go. Maya was walking ahead and suddenly realized Arabella wasn't keeping up. She turned around and was utterly surprised. The usually aloof and arrogant Romeo gently stroked Arabella's face, like he was flirting. Wow, this scene was just too cozy for words. It was hard to believe that this distinguished gentleman showed such affection for a girl. It was like something straight out of a fairy tale. Maya thought about her past, and her gaze became downcast. Romeo was caressing Arabella's soft and adorable cheeks, releasing her only after a while. Then he took her hand and started walking towards the dormitory. Apparently, President Barton had built a brand new dormitory just to keep Arabella comfortable. Arabella asked, why are you here today? Romeo looked at her. Remember your dad was talking about buying the land in the university town and building a shopping complex for you to play around? Arabella did recall something like that. But I already rejected that idea, didn't I? Yes, and that's why I bought it. I came here today to check it out. Arabella was taken aback. This time, she got duped by her fiancé, not her dad. I've hired a construction team. They're super quick. They'll have it built in less than a year. It'll be there for anything you want to eat, shop, or play. Arabella smiled. Aren't you worried I'll get absorbed and forget about you? I'll just keep showing up like today until you remember me. Romeo's eyes were full of love. Arabella chuckled. You're so childish. Do you prefer me to be childish or mature? Arabella said. When have you ever acted mature in front of me? Carl, who was standing nearby, chimed in, Miss Bella, you might not know this, but men only act like kids in front of the one they love the most. This just shows that you're Mr. Macmillion's favorite person, which is why you've never seen his mature side. Shut up. Romeo seemed a bit annoyed. Carl was surprised that Romeo rejected his good intentions and was upset. Arabella turned to Romeo, asking with interest, the one you love the most? Don't you feel it? Romeo leaned in. Looks like we've been apart for too long. You've forgotten your place in my heart. This is school. The next moment, Romeo pulled down his mask and gently kissed her forehead. Carl quickly glanced around. Luckily, no one was on this narrow path they were walking on, or else if anyone saw them, Miss Bella would be harassed again. Joyce turned her head and saw Romeo bending down gentlemanly to kiss Arabella's forehead. The affection and tenderness in his eyes seemed reserved for Arabella alone. Wow, she exclaimed excitedly, they're so sweet. It felt like they were watching a movie. The surroundings seemed to have become their backdrop, and they looked like the protagonists in a movie. If only Carl were not there, it would have been perfect. You'll get used to it. Kelly dragged them forward. It was a miracle that Romeo could hold on for so many days. Romeo put his mask back on, revealing his handsome eyes, and continued walking hand in hand with Arabella. There seem to be a fair few boys that who like you. Are there any you like? Arabella answered with a teasing tone, a couple, indeed. A couple? Romeo immediately asked, green-eyed, who are they? Spill the beans. He promised he wouldn't lay a hand on them, or else he'd pack his bags and leave the school the same day. Arabella already predicted his reaction, and she added laughing, a few are pretty annoying. The rest are okay. Okay, what do you mean by that? They're not too shabby to look at? They've got decent personalities? Or do they have boyfriend potential? Arabella couldn't help but laugh. Relax, I'm not interested in them. If you dare to have a change of heart, I'll break their legs. Whoever you like, I'll hit. You sure are fierce. I can be gentle too, as long as you're willing to stick with me for life. Never betraying me, got it? But what if you have a change of heart? I'm not that kind of person. You alone are enough for me to love wholeheartedly. Where would I have the time to think about others? Romeo held her hand the whole time, his tone full of affection. Try to spend more time with me in the future, okay? Depends. Then I'll take that as a yes. Romeo stopped when they reached Arabella's dorm building. I'll wait for you here. Okay. Arabella walked up the dorm steps, and 3 girls were waiting for her up ahead. As Arabella approached, Joyce whispered, Arabella, your fiancé really treats you well, even walks you to your dorm. He's still standing there. Look, there were girls trying to flirt with him. Your fiancé's eyes alone are enough to captivate. Maya quickly gestured for Arabella to turn around and look. Arabella turned and saw Carl warding off 3 or 4 girls while Romeo's eyes were only on her. Your fiancé is so loyal, so romantic. Maya never imagined there were boys like this in the world, willing to give up their high status to love a girl. His gaze was only for her. Kelly teased Arabella, is your boyfriend a bit upset? Yes. I knew it. He's not used to you not being with him all the time. You're with him all the time? Both Maya and Joyce were surprised at how close they were. Kelly pressed the top floor button in the elevator, casually saying, Romeo seeks her out every day, once in the morning, at noon, and in the afternoon. Sometimes he even visits her parents to chat, just to see her. Can you imagine his icy face making small talk with her parents? They could say his affection for Arabella was deep, grabbing every chance to be near her. Maya and Joyce were astonished. He was so romantic. I'm going to be with him tonight, and you girls don't need to wait up for me. Just lock the door. Hearing Arabella say this, Joyce was incredulous. You mean? Don't worry, and they're innocent. Nothing happened. Hearing Kelly's words, Maya and Joyce were surprised again. They spent so much time together, yet nothing happened. Romeo was really patient. But what about the dorm inspections? Joyce was worried that Arabella would be reprimanded if the dorm manager found out. Don't worry, I'll handle it. Kelly patted her chest, taking responsibility, and added, the dorm manager is easy to deal with, at least easier than Arabella's boyfriend. My boyfriend is actually pretty easy to handle, Arabella suddenly corrected her. Kelly couldn't help but burst into laughter, and she was still not satisfied. In fact, the dorm manager is easier to handle. Think about it, no matter who it is, as long as you give the dorm manager a little benefit, she will definitely be over the moon, welcoming everyone. But your boyfriend is different. Anyone who tries to bribe him will definitely get kicked out. Kelly affirmed, he doesn't accept everyone. Only you can cheer him up. Even if you pluck a blade of grass for him from the dorm lawn, he could be happy for a long time. My boyfriend can be pleased with a single blade of grass. Can the dorm manager do that? So my boyfriend is easier to handle. Kelly was kind of lost for a moment. How did her friend Arabella start to prefer that guy? She's changed. Really changed. Her friend Arabella began to value her lover over her friends. Arabella changed out of her training suit into a casual outfit and left the dorm. Did you guys notice that Arabella's outfit looks a lot like Romeo's? Are they wearing couple outfits? Maya suddenly asked. I didn't notice. Really? Are they really wearing couple outfits? Let me check. Joyce hurriedly ran out. I'll go check too. From their dorm balcony, all they could see was the sea. They had to run to the corridor balcony, and looking down they were right. The two of them were wearing matching outfits, and even their silhouettes looked perfectly matched. It seemed that many boys at Westerly College will be heartbroken because their goddess already had a boyfriend. Once in the car, Romeo scooped Arabella onto his lap and kept kissing her. Seated in the driver's seat, Carl was suffering. He thought by himself, Mr. Macmillan, could you please consider my feelings? What did I do wrong to deserve this? Could you please not let me drive next time? Although Carl tried his best to control himself and not look at the people in the back, Romeo's voice still reached his ears. Bella, I miss you so much. A whiny, clingy, pitiful voice made Carl's skin crawl. When Mr. Macmillan got clingy, not only can girls not handle it, but he, a boy, can't handle it either. All he can say was it's too enticing. Arabella could only console him. Didn't I come to accompany you? 2 days is too short. Romeo just wanted to be with her every day. When are you graduating? Can you graduate early? 4 years of college was too long. I just started school, and you're already anticipating my graduation? Arabella found it amusing. College is too long. With your intelligence and wisdom, skipping grades is no problem. If you like lab equipment, I can buy it for you. Bella liked to do experiments so that he will set up a lab at home, fully equipped. As long as Bella was by his side, letting him see her every day. Good boy, I have other tasks to complete at school. Arabella gently patted his head, indicating him to behave. This was the first time Arabella had gently patted his head. Romeo grabbed her hand and kept kissing it. Then, will you accompany me when you have free time? Sure. Are there any boys in school who are better than me? No. Arabella smiled at him. Even if there are, I don't like them. Then who do you like? Romeo wanted to hear the answer from her. Arabella raised her beautiful eyes, looking at him with interest. You are getting bolder. Romeo's behavior made her feel that he was indeed getting more and more audacious. I just want to hear you say it once. They had been together for 2 months, a whole summer vacation, but she never told him she liked him. Is it that hard to say you like me? Arabella intentionally did not answer, just smiling at him. How do I know you don't like Carl? Carl, sitting in the front, was suddenly named by Romeo, feeling very speechless. They could still argue and bring him up. He's too innocent. Arabella glanced at Carl driving in front and deliberately said, Carl is indeed excellent. Carl felt Romeo's burning gaze on his back, but before he could speak, Romeo already said first. I suddenly remembered there's a project in Antarctica that's perfect for someone like him. Carl was panicking inside. Mr. Macmillan. Let him go, and he can definitely do a good job. Arabella immediately went along. Romeo got even more angry. Carl, did you hear that? Arabella praised you. Come to my place later, pack up your stuff, and you can leave today. Huh? Mr. Macmillan. Carl didn't even have time to plead. Romeo continued, for this project, there's really no one better suited than you. You're not allowed to come back without my permission. Mr. Macmillan. Carl was very upset inside. Why did they have to involve him? Miss Bella, please save me. Carl could only beg Arabella for help. Arabella, sitting on Romeo's lap the whole time, facing him looking jealous, couldn't help but laugh. Alright, stop being jealous. Why are you giving Carl a hard time? Why did you praise him? Doesn't he deserve it? Don't you think he's reliable? Carl, did you hear that? Stop the car immediately, and you're leaving for Antarctica right now. Carl was very helpless inside. Begging for help was useless. Who can save him? Are you deaf or what? Romeo gave a kick to the driver's seat, making Carl want to break down in tears. If he actually stopped the car, he'd be sent to Antarctica. But if he didn't, Romeo was already ticked off. Alright, I like you. You're the first one I've ever liked. Arabella blurted out. Romeo's gaze landed on Arabella, and his aura instantly softened. What was that? Repeat it. Carl was over the moon. Mr. Macmillan, Miss Bella just said she. Shut up. He's ruining the mood again. It was hard to hear such words from her. Even though she already said it, he wanted to hear it again. Could you say it one more time? Romeo coaxed her. The guy in front was making too much noise. I didn't catch it. Who did you say you liked? Carl thought to himself, come on. Mr. Macmillan. He didn't say a peep when Miss Bella was confessing. How could he frame him? Being an assistant was hard, and he felt wronged. He demanded a 10-fold salary increase. Arabella eyed the man in front of her. Don't push your luck. I want to hear it again. Romeo's voice was irresistible. One more time, the last time. I like you, Romeo, Arabella said. Did him get that this time? Romeo's eyes softened, and his face was filled with joy and emotion as he kissed her face. This was the happiest thing he'd heard in the 2 months they'd been dating. Sitting in the front row, Carl could hear their kissing sound loud and clear. At this moment, there was no pain, torture, but a sense of satisfaction. Mr. Macmillan had been waiting for this sentence. Why did he feel like crying? Okay, let go of me. Romeo kissed for quite a while before stopping, looking at her affectionately. I like you too, really like very much. He liked her so much that he just wanted to give her everything he had to make her happy. He liked her so much that he wanted to spend 24 hours a day with her, every moment with her by his side. He liked her so much that every expression of hers and every word she said was deeply imprinted in his heart. He liked her so much that he wouldn't let her praise anyone else. He liked her so much that he couldn't control himself, as if he had turned into another person. Mr. Macmillan. Since Miss Bella has already said she likes you, can someone else go to Antarctica? Carl said inappropriately. Romeo's face cooled down again. Focus on driving. He's not asking him to stop the car. What was he still hoping for? Carl drove in silence, thinking. It's Miss Bella who's skilled. A simple confession could control Mr. Macmillan's mood. Let Mr. Macmillan's enemies be jealous. They schemed so much and used so many means, but none were as effective as Miss Bella's single sentence. He would talk to Miss Bella about the Antarctica issue later. He absolutely couldn't go, or he would suffer greatly. Are you getting used to college life these days? Has anyone bullied you? Romeo asked, stroking Arabella's face. If you're wronged, you must tell me right away. Don't worry, I'm doing great. Not only in school but probably in the whole of Solterra, few would dare to bully her. Romeo touched her delicate face. The summer sun was so strong, but she wasn't sunburned at all. Her skin was still so smooth. Did she have some magic? She's like a mystery that nobody can see through. Can you record what you just said as a gift for me next time? Arabella chuckled. Is the gift you want just that simple? One sentence from you can make me happy for a long time. He didn't need any physical gifts. Just an I like you was enough for him to cross the entire galaxy for her. Okay. Arabella readily agreed, making Romeo kiss her happily again. He's always like this, and one sentence can make him happy for a long time. They finally reached their destination. Carl stopped the car and opened the door for them. Romeo held Arabella as he got out of the car, striding towards the villa's door, all the while kissing her. Carl watched as Mr. Macmillan walked to the front door, pinned Miss Bella against it, and kissed her for a while, then used his finger to unlock the fingerprint scanner, continuing to kiss her as they went inside. Carl couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Before he could finish his sigh, his phone rang. What? Why didn't you tell me about such an urgent matter? Anyway, you're too late. The person on the other end of the phone was taken aback, totally clueless about what had happened. What do you mean I'm too late? Is Mr. Macmillan dead? You're the one who's dead. Who could make something happen to Mr. Macmillan? But if he had to choose someone, it would definitely be Miss Bella. Mr. Macmillan wouldn't dare to resist if Miss Bella wanted him dead right now. No, wait, Carl was a bit annoyed. How did he get led astray by the person on the phone? So what's the deal with Mr. Macmillan? This is really urgent. Without Mr. Macmillan's approval, no one can decide on this matter. Maybe you. I wouldn't dare. If I go in there now, he'll definitely blow his top. He'd seen Mr. Macmillan's eagerness before, the passionate kisses still making him blush to think about. If going in to report is so serious, what if I call him? I'd advise against that. If you disturb his good mood, you might get sent off to Antarctica. The person on the phone was suffering immensely, sweet-talking Carl to no end, but Carl still didn't dare to go in there. There was no other way. Mr. Macmillan was busy with important stuff right now, and anyone who disturbed him would be in trouble. Carl, how long do you think it'll take for Mr. Macmillan to finish up? The person on the phone asked carefully, their voice sounding a bit teary. Carl looked towards the villa's gate. Hard to say, at least an hour or so. Given Mr. Macmillan's stamina, anything less than an hour would be unlikely. An hour? You might as well kill me now. The person on the phone complained that an hour was way too long. But Carl figured an hour really wasn't that long. Considering Mr. Macmillan's affection for Miss Bella, it might last until tomorrow. The villa staff was transferred from Moon Villa, the butler Derek, and the chef Gary. They heard that Arabella was studying at nearby Westerly College and that Mr. Macmillan would be living here permanently, so they followed to take care of her. When Romeo carried Arabella in, kissing her passionately, they were both shocked, even though they often saw Mr. Macmillan kissing Arabella at Moon Villa. Both men were blushing, seeing Mr. Macmillan carrying Arabella while kissing her all the way upstairs. They didn't even have time to say hello. Looked like dinner can be prepared a bit later. Romeo carried Arabella to the bedroom, kissing her as he laid her on the bed. All right. Arabella was breathless from his kisses, her cheeks flushed, looking at him. Don't forget what you promised me. I won't cross any lines. But kisses and hugs were inevitable. Romeo leaned down to kiss her again, and God knew how irresistible she looked. Arabella pinned under him, unable to move. Romeo, if you keep this up, I won't come next time. Romeo had to restrain his last bit of sanity, stopping, gazing at her with hazy eyes, his voice hoarse. Okay. She was still young, and he couldn't scare her. Arabella sat up, looking around the bedroom. When did you move in? There were traces of him living here everywhere. Your first day of school. Romeo moved closer to her ear, his voice tempting. I'm going to take a cold shower. He needed to cool down. Arabella was speechless. Watching him open the wardrobe, Arabella found only a few outfits hanging, all gifts she'd given him. Did he only bring these few outfits? Was it enough? She'd heard from Carl that he never wore the same outfit twice. Now he only had these few. Wasn't it too little? Thinking this, Arabella felt it necessary to prepare more outfits for him. Otherwise, these few would be worn out from too much washing, making them look old. After a while, Romeo's phone started to ring. Arabella knocked on the bathroom door. Your phone has been ringing off the hook. Want me to grab it for you? Probably some urgent matter from the group. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buzzing him like crazy. Just answer it for me, Romeo replied from the bathroom. Me? Was that appropriate? If it's work-related, tell them to contact Carl. If it's personal, you make the call. Arabella picked up his phone and saw it was Grandpa Philip calling. Grandpa Philip, it's Arabella. Arabella looked towards the bathroom, wanting to explain that Romeo was in the shower but worried about any misunderstanding. To her surprise, Philip Macmillan jumped the gun, excitedly saying, You're with Romeo? Bella, has your activities been tough? Are you tired? Has President Barton been treating you well? Has anyone been giving you a hard time at school? Arabella smiled and said, I'm doing great. If anyone gives you a hard time, you have to tell me, and I'll sort it out. How's the environment at school? Do you like the food? Do you need anything? I can personally deliver it to you. No need, everything's great. Arabella didn't expect Grandpa Philip to be so caring, and it warmed her heart. That's good, as long as no one's giving you a hard time. Philip said, relieved. What's Romeo up to? I've called him many times, but he hasn't picked up. Arabella glanced at the bathroom again. He's on the throne. Oh, he's on the throne, that explains it. Do you have any urgent matters? Great news. Your grandma. Philip's voice was very excited. She woke up a few times before, but each time was very short. I would call her, and she would respond, but not like today. Today was truly a surprise. Philip, thrilled, quickly relayed the situation to Arabella. I called her by her nickname. She answered me, and even called me by my nickname. She said she was thirsty. I gave her water, and then she asked me what day it was, how long she had been asleep. Even though she had woken up a few times before, she had never initiated a conversation with him. She was just slightly conscious. What happened today was unbelievable to Philip. He was over the moon. She even asked me where Romeo was, and I told her she had been asleep for a long time and that Romeo had found his love. I gave that girl the necklace, and she said she wanted to meet you guys. When can you guys come to visit? Is she still awake now? Arabella asked softly. She's asleep now, but I feel like she's been waking up more and more often lately and for longer periods of time. Although she still can't get out of bed and needs to be fed, just like a child. She can already have simple conversations with me. This was enough to drive Philip into ecstasy. She was conscious, able to communicate, and even remember people, something Philip hadn't even dared to dream about. Arabella smiled and said, as long as she takes her medication, she'll get even better. After some time, you can slowly help her walk or let her use a cane, and then she'll be able to walk on her own. Suddenly, Philip covered his face, starting to cry from excitement. Through the phone, Arabella could hear him trying to hold back his tears, and she couldn't help but say, Grandpa Philip, if it weren't for you, I couldn't even imagine this day, not even in my dreams. Philip began to cry from happiness. After a while he said, good girl, thank you. I'm so lucky to have you, you've saved me and my wife many times. The Macmillan family owes you so much. Grandpa Philip, don't say that. I'm happy that I could help. That's what she's supposed to do. You're the only girl in my life that I approve of. Only you can be my grandson's wife, and no one can replace you. If Romeo dares to do anything to hurt you, I'll break his legs right away. The Macmillan family is so lucky to have a smart and beautiful girl like you. Philip's voice was still choked with tears. Arabella couldn't help but laugh. Wipe your tears first. We'll come over in a bit. Great, that's great. Philip quickly wiped his tears, his voice filled with happiness. At that moment, Romeo, who had finished his shower, hugged her from behind. Was that my grandpa on the phone? He had heard the latter part of the conversation, so he guessed the person on the other end of the phone was his grandpa. Yes, your grandma woke up. We're going to visit her in a bit, okay? Okay. Do you want to say a few words to your grandpa? Arabella handed him the phone. But Romeo's arms were still firmly wrapped around Arabella. He lowered his head and smelled her scent. No need, hang up. They were going to go over there anyway. Anything that needed to be said could wait. Philip, who was still crying, was a bit angry when he heard his grandson's words. This ungrateful brat, forgetting his grandpa as soon as he had a fiancée, not even wanting to take a call. Humph. He didn't want to talk to this kid anymore. Bella, since you're making the trip here, why don't you stay for dinner? Okay, see you in a bit. After hanging up, Romeo kissed Arabella again, as if it would never end. When they came down, Derek quickly bowed. Mr. Macmillan, Arabella. Was it over already? It's only been half an hour, and Mr. Macmillan had even finished his shower. Wasn't this a bit fast? No way. We're not dining here tonight. Tell Gary he doesn't need to cook for us. Even though Romeo noticed the surprise and confusion in Derek's eyes, he didn't think twice about it. Sure, Mr. Macmillan. As Romeo left hand in hand with Arabella, Derek went to the garden to find Gary. Gary was also a bit stunned. Did Mr. Macmillan just up and leave like that? Was he done that quickly? Carl, who was playing games in the car, suddenly heard someone knocking on the window. He looked up, and his phone nearly dropped out of his hands in shock. Mr. Macmillan. He had barely been gone half an hour, and he was already back? Who would have thought that Mr. Macmillan, who seemed so tough and strong, would be such a quick shot? Poor Miss Bella. What are you staring at me for? Unlock the car. Romeo was oblivious to his thoughts. All right. Carl hurriedly hit the unlock button. Romeo opened the car door, let Arabella get in first, then followed her into the car and said, "Drive to Fairfield Manor. Now." Did something happen to Philip? My grandmother woke up. Oh, I see. Carl quickly started the engine. What does your grandmother like the most? In the car, Arabella suddenly asked. We didn't bring any gifts. It's not very nice to show up empty-handed. You're the best gift ever, Romeo said, touching her face to comfort her. My grandma will be over the moon to see you. But I can't just show up empty-handed, Arabella said, inquiring, what did your grandma like most? She had to come up with something. Miss Bella, Shirley Macmillan loved flowers, paintings, and playing chess. She's even heard your music, he informed. Arabella looked skeptical. It's true. You can ask Mr. Macmillan if you don't believe me. That's right, Romeo said gently. My grandma did listen to your music before, and she loved it. So, all she had to do was play a few tunes for Shirley? If Shirley liked chess, Arabella did have a top-notch chess set made of gold. Even the chessboard was worth a fortune, but it was too late to have it delivered now. Didn't you give my grandma a gold bracelet before? Romeo reminded her. That bracelet is still on my grandma's wrist, and you don't need to prepare anything else. Just show up. Finally, Arabella decided to bring the chess set next time, persuaded by Romeo. Before long, their car pulled up in front of Fairfield Manor. Romeo, leading Arabella by the hand, walked through the front door, with Brody showing the way. Shirley just woke up, and she'll be thrilled to see you guys. Brody couldn't contain his joy. Who would have thought that not only would Shirley wake up, but she could also engage in simple conversations? It was beyond everyone's expectations. And all of it was thanks to Arabella. In Philip's bedroom, the elegant Grandma Shirley sat on the bed, sipping soup fed by Philip. Grandpa, Grandma, Romeo and Arabella chimed in, drawing the attention of the elderly couple. Bella's here. Darling, this is Bella I've told you about. Arabella Collins. Kenneth Collins's daughter. Philip put down the bowl, hurriedly inviting Arabella to sit, completely ignoring Romeo. Romeo was used to it. He held Arabella's hand and sat down by the bedside. The kind lady, dressed neatly, was glowing and radiating an aura of nobility. She looked at Romeo with a warm smile and said, My grandson's grown taller, matured, and is more steady. Her voice was pleasant and soothing, and her presence was commanding. Darling, I was having a hard time getting hold of this well-known doctor, Dr. Bell. After pulling strings, I finally managed to get him. Guess what? Dr. Bell turned out to be Bella. How coincidental. Philip started laughing, then continued, Before I found Dr. Bell, I heard from Carl that Bella, after hearing about your condition, had already been searching for a cure on her own. Carl said that the place she went to was extremely dangerous. A slip could cost her life. But she didn't back down. She could have sent someone else or chosen to ignore Grandma Shirley, but she didn't. Later, she found the medicine and worked hard to prepare it, just to save you. If she hadn't gone there, if Romeo and Carl hadn't happened to spot her, we might still be in the dark, not knowing that she had been silently doing so much behind the scenes. She didn't wait for anyone to ask. She just jumped right in to help. No showing off, no trying to polish her image. Arabella blushed a little at Philip's praise. I was just giving it a shot. I wasn't sure it would work. It was mainly thanks to Grandma Shirley's strong constitution that she could handle the effects of the medicine. Granny Grace, on the other hand, was as fragile as paper. Thinking of Granny Grace, Arabella's eyes dimmed a bit. Romeo, noticing this, squeezed her hand, knowing she was missing Granny Grace. He caressed her hand with his thumb to comfort her. Arabella quickly recovered, lifting her eyes to say, The main thing was that Grandpa Philip trusted me and backed me all the way. Philip had said that even if there were only a 1% chance, he would back Arabella all the way. It was Philip's faith and trust that made today's miracle possible. Even though Arabella was 80% sure then, there was still 20% uncertainty, which couldn't be ignored. Luckily, all the hurdles were behind them, and Grandma Shirley was here with them, listening to their conversation. The gold necklace you're wearing was a gift from Bella. Philip took Grandma Shirley's hand and said with a smile, "And the crown necklace you gave to Bella. Bella, are you wearing it today?" "I am." Arabella pulled out the necklace from her collar. Romeo added, "Bella wears it every day." Grandma Shirley looked at the beautiful crown necklace and suddenly said, "Take it off." Philip and Romeo thought they had heard wrong. "Grandma?" Romeo was confused. Was Grandma unhappy with Bella? "Dear, isn't this necklace supposed to be given to our grandson's wife?" Philip was also puzzled. Had her mental clarity faltered again, thinking someone had stolen her necklace? Romeo held Arabella's hand tighter and said, "Grandma, Arabella is the love of my life. I will only marry her." I said, "Take it off." Grandma Shirley seemed to use all her strength to say this. Arabella, seeing the look in Grandma Shirley's eyes, removed the necklace and handed it back. Romeo's eyes deepened, and Philip was in disbelief as Grandma Shirley took the necklace. "I want to put it on for you myself." Grandma Shirley's voice was filled with tenderness and affection. The tension between Philip and Romeo instantly disappeared. "Come here." Arabella had already figured out her intention, obediently moved closer, and knelt down. She knew Grandma Shirley couldn't express herself as fluently as normal people, but it would get better with time. "You scared me." Philip patted his chest, wondering how anyone could not be satisfied with such a wonderful girl like Bella. Turned out, she just wanted to put it on herself. Grandma Shirley had just recovered. Her hands and feet weren't very agile. She tried to put the necklace on several times without success. "My hands aren't as nimble anymore." Despite Grandma Shirley's best efforts to help Arabella wear this significant necklace, the clasp wasn't easy to fasten. Arabella didn't show any impatience. "It's okay, take your time. We're not in a hurry. I'm afraid you'll tire from squatting for so long." Grandma Shirley tried several times but still couldn't get it on, becoming increasingly anxious. Romeo, standing aside, saw this and stepped forward to help. "Granny, let me give you a hand." He helped Grandma Shirley hold one end of the necklace. Holding the other end, Grandma Shirley tried a few more times with trembling hands, barely managing to thread it through the small hole, finally getting the necklace on. "Good kid, you must be tired, huh?" Grandma Shirley said with a hint of apology in her voice. She had just recovered, but her movements were still not very agile, and she felt terrible for making Arabella go through this. "Nah, I'm not tired." Arabella was always smiling warmly. "Thank you, Grandma Shirley." Today, she finally got the chance to thank Grandma Shirley in person. "The Macmillan family is so lucky to have a girl like you." Grandma Shirley looked at her contentedly, finding that both her looks and temperament were a great match for her grandson. They were a perfect match. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was. She was overjoyed, not to mention all the talents Arabella had. Romeo really did bring a gem home. At this moment, Brody brought over a bowl of soup. "Shirley, your soup got cold. I got you a new bowl. I'll feed her." Arabella volunteered. No, let your grandpa do it," Grandma Shirley said hastily. How could she let Arabella go through such trouble? But Arabella didn't find it troublesome at all. She scooped up a spoonful of soup and gently brought it to Grandma Shirley's lips. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Grandma Shirley took a sip and said with a smile, "The soup you feed me tastes so sweet, Bella." Romeo's eyes were full of tenderness as he watched the two of them get along so well. He asked softly, "Granny, how have you been feeling these past couple of days? Any discomfort?" The doctor was around and could help if needed. "No. Bella's medicine works great," Grandma Shirley said with a smile. "It's just my head, probably because I've been asleep too long. I'm a bit foggy, slow to react, and lack strength. I even have difficulty getting out of bed and walking, needing someone to push my wheelchair." "That's normal," Arabella assured her with a smile while feeding her soup. "You'll get better in no time. Your words put my mind at ease. Grandma Shirley chirped, sipping the soup Arabella fed her. She couldn't help but ask, Bella, who did you learn your medical skills from? They were so exceptional. Arabella gave a straightforward account of her experiences. Hearing this, Grandma Shirley couldn't suppress her anger. Those two scoundrels from the Murphy family. It's all my fault for realizing too late. Otherwise, she would have ensured they got more than just jail time. It's all in the past, Arabella said with a small smile. Would you like another bowl of soup? The soup was all gone. No need. Grandma Shirley had just recovered and couldn't have too much. After Arabella put down the bowl, she took Arabella's hand and said with a heavy heart, Poor child, you've suffered. She had been taken to the Murphy family, separated from her family, and had been through a lot of bullying. From now on, the McMillian family will treat you even better. Grandma Shirley patted her hand with many more things she wanted to say. However, Philip couldn't help but butt in, Dear, have you forgotten about me now that Bella's here? He had been ignored for quite some time. If you knew Bella's other identity, you'd love her even more. Philip said mysteriously, deliberately keeping her in suspense, trying to attract Grandma Shirley's attention. But Grandma Shirley didn't pay him any mind and continued talking with Arabella.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.